Hello, ladies. I am Dr. Lisa Marie, and I am so glad that you are watching this video. And if you've been following me, if you've been watching my 2 week blitz of videos and lives on radiant reflections, just talking about issues that we might be facing, challenges, how to overcome, how to support, I'm glad you took part in that. January will be here, and for those ladies who are in ministry or who are planning on going into ministry, who have businesses and who are stepping out on faith, I want to encourage you to join me for counting the cost for the call. Have you counted the cost for the call? And like, Dr. Lisa, what are you talking about? Ministry, it's a calling, right? Yes, we know that when God calls us into ministry, whether our ministry is inside the church or whether our ministry is outside the church, it is a calling. But have you counted the cost of that calling? Now, I'm not saying don't go into ministry, but I'm saying count the cost. Just like the scripture in Luke 14:28-30 says, it says, suppose one of you wanted to build a tower. Some say a building, some scripture says a building. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. And so you might say, okay, it's talking about having the money to complete a task. But when we think about counting the cost for ministry, we can start off really strong. We can start off really excited. We can start off on fire. But as time progresses, if we haven't weighed the cost, there are some challenges we might face. And I'm coming to you and I want you to join me as we look at those challenges. I'm going to base it on my book that I did called 5 Pillars of Wellness, because that's how we can make sure we count the cost. Are we looking at how we relate to ourselves, our own emotions, our own thoughts, what we think, how we deal with things? Are we looking at relationships, whether that's a relationship with your spouse or your partner, your family members? How does that impact? How is that impacted when you're in ministry or you're counting the cost of a call? When we're looking at emotional well-being, how am I emotionally? Sometimes starting a business or stepping out and working in ministry, it can take a toll on us. And so how do we do that? How do we deal with that? Looking at our health. We can be so busy doing for so many other people, or we can be so busy running a business, or we can be so busy in ministry that we don't look at our health. We don't get the checkups that we need. We don't look at how we might be having some issues with our immune system because we're just so exhausted. And then looking at our nutrition. What are we putting in our body so that we can keep going to build and continue to do the things that God has called us to do? And so when I talk about counting the cost, have you counted the cost of ministry? It's not saying don't do ministry, but it's saying if we start strong, we want to finish strong. We want to go through it strong. Have I counted the cost? I did. I took time and I did a full assessment. And I can tell you, there were some areas that I needed to work on. There were some areas where I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was an area that is kind of lacking because I didn't take time to count the cost. Will I continue to count the cost? Absolutely. Should you count the cost? Absolutely. So I'm encouraging you to join me January 6th to February 13th, every Monday, Eastern Standard Time, from 7 to 8 p.m. Now we will go through 3 of the books that I have. We will go through Rebuilding the Temple, A Practical Guide to Health and Wellness. We will go through the 5 Pillars of Wellness, and then we'll be pulling some things from the new book, Radiant Reflections. So if you are in ministry, if you have someone that you know who's in ministry, and you're seeing like, hey, there's a lot going on, ask them if they've counted the cost. And if they haven't, have them join us. If that's you and you haven't counted the cost, join us. I'm looking for God to do some amazing things during that time. I'm looking for God to just kind of restore us and strengthen us for the work, because we all have purpose. And if we don't count the cost, we'll be just like this builder in Luke 14 that says we won't be able to finish. And, will people ridicule us? Possibly. Oh, they did that and they did this. But it really doesn't matter what they say. What really matters is, are we up and ready and strong and have the ability, the capacity to complete the call that God has for us? So if you haven't signed up, you can go to my website, healingseason.net, click on the Ladies Like Us link, and you can register there. There are multiple ways to pay. You can pay one-time payment, or you can break it up into 3 payments. I'm encouraging you. Invest in yourself. Invest in your ministry. Count the call. Count the cost for the call. Thank you.